Okay, so I started recording and then I'm going to start. So as I said earlier, yesterday's class was all about converting our range of cells into table, right? Can anybody remind me how we can do that? Can anybody remind me how we can do that? How to convert a normal range of cells into table? Control T. All right, thank you very much. So I'm going to just press Control T here, right? I'm going to press Control T. So all this place, I don't have any issues with it, right? It has picked the data and it has picked the headers already. So I'm not going to click on OK. So now I have it converted to a table already. And then, like I said, I'm not really digging this blue. So let me just change it to let me see which other color can I use. And I told you this coloring doesn't have an effect. It's just for you to just beautify your data set. Ew, this is not fine. This is fine. I think I need to change this laptop. Okay, so I think I'm good with this color. Yes, so we work with table styles and we work with these table style options here. Where we talk about the header row, that's our headings. We talk about the total row. It's going to give us a summary row at the last row of our data set where we can have aggregate functions like sum, count, standard deviation, and everything. So if you need to work with those, we put it on. But for this data, for this particular class, I'm not using it. I'm not doing any calculation that requires those kinds. I'm not going to turn it on. And then the banded row that I told you, it just colors the even rows different from the odd rows. Same thing goes for the first column also. You just color out the odd columns different from the even columns. And then the last column, oh, sorry. This first column is going to highlight, it's going to bolden the first column in our data set. That's this one that we have here, this first column, just going to bolden this first column up here. And then this last column is going to bolden the last column that we have here. And then this is what I was talking about earlier, the banded columns. It's going to just color out the even columns different from the odd column. That's what it does. And then the filter button, I told you the filter button automatically comes with you converting your data set into a table. It comes with it. So if you don't want to use it, you can put it up right here, or you can just use your normal keyboard shortcut, Control Shift and L to put it up. It doesn't really matter. And then talk about converting it back to range, right? Just click on convert to range, and then what you are going to be left with is just the coloring. And then you can just highlight and then tell it to what remove these colors out from this particular data set. That's just and when we talked about the table name also, I told you changing the table name, it doesn't allow space in between if what you are working with is like 2 or more. And I think we changed it to Amani sales, right? I told you the Amani and the sales, there shouldn't be space in between to accept it. So we're going to be using after Amani an underscore, and then you now write the sales in there, then enter. So we already have the table name changed already, right? And I told you how to add columns to this table. Just give it a title. Let's say we worked with lookup yesterday. I did cost price. I brought in the cost price from the product sheet. Just give it a title. Just give your heading a title, then enter. It's going to add it to your table already. That's how it is. But I'm not really working with. I want to introduce it with what we are doing today. So now I told you that what we're going to be doing today. I'm seeing question. Insert tab. Yes. So is it that we use insert? Is that we just go to the insert tab and then click on table, or we use the keyboard shortcut Control T. Even on the insert tab, the table you'll have seen it. They've given us the shortcut that says Control T already. So we don't need to come here to insert to actually convert to a table. So that's it for this one. Now I said today we're going to be working with pivot tables. Now this is now where dashboard comes in, where we start building in our dashboards and everything. So, but I told you that steps to building dashboard is something like this, right? After converting to a table, you bring out your pivot tables, and you start building your dashboard and all that. Now, what are pivot tables? Okay, let me even ask, have you ever heard of pivot tables? Do you have any idea what a pivot table is, how it looks like, or anything? Okay, Steven said yes. Who else? Who else has actually heard of pivot tables? Okay, let me throw it out. What is a pivot table? I need an answer. What is a pivot table? Is used to summarize large data sets. Thank you, Olawumi. So pivot tables are those tools, or I don't know tools. Pivot table is a tool that is used to summarize large data sets. So it's used to, let's say, compress. Yes, used to compress, used to analyze large data sets. So now, how do we bring it in? How do we bring it in? Thank you. Thank you, SKM. Now, you know that since we have converted our normal range of cells into a table, right? There's a button here that says summarize with pivot table. That means I want you to help me summarize this particular data set into a table, into a pivot table. That's what it basically means. And there are two options. Is either I'm using the summarize with pivot table inside this table design here, or I can use it from the insert tab. You will see the first one I'm going to see in the insert tab is pivot table. So it's either you're bringing in your pivot table from this insert tab here, or you are bringing it in from your table design. They are the same thing. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your response. I appreciate it. So I was saying how we have converted this data set, the range of cells that we have earlier, we have converted it to a table, and now we want to bring in the pivot table. So for those that don't know what pivot table, that don't know what pivot table, what it does, we use the pivot table to summarize large data sets. We use it to, as I said, compress. If you can understand the word compress, you need to just summarize it for us. Just give us in concise, precise manner. You understand? That's what pivot table is. So now looking at this data set now, how many columns how many rows do we have? We have 500. This one is even very little because in one spreadsheet, in one worksheet as it like this, we have over 1 million rows in Excel. Just this sheet that I'm working on, we have over 1 million rows in Excel. So this particular one that I'm working on now is just 500 rows. So it's not very large. So but we're still going to be using. So this one too is still large because this particular one, I cannot start writing 101. Like just doing a daily entry of 500 in one day it's still going to be very hard. But compared to what Excel can actually accommodate, this one is still very small. But let us see how pivot table will help us to compile it, right? Or summarize it rather. So I told you can bring in the pivot table from either the table design here or you bring it from your insert tab. I'm inserting it into my spreadsheet, right? So I'm going to be using the table design one, right? I'm telling you what summarize with pivot table. So I'm going to click on summarize with pivot table. So it's not asking me that I should select a table or range. Now I already have it has selected it already because I am presently clicked inside that data set already. So it has seen the range, it has seen the table that I actually do want to summarize the pivot table. So I have no business with this one already. I have no business with this already because it actually seen the table that I'm working with. Now I now have this one that says choose where you want the pivot table to be placed. I have two options. I have the new worksheet and I have the existing worksheet, right? New worksheet is going to automatically open a new worksheet for us and it's going to place the pivot table there. While existing worksheet is going to ask me to pick my location. That means out of the sheet that I have, now I have 4 sheets available, the customer, order, products, and phone number. Out of these 4, where do I want to place it in? That's what this new worksheet and existing worksheet is working for. Are you getting it? But for us working, yes, if you're opening up worksheets, it's not going to affect your data set, right? But for easy processing, for you to know, for easy what are they? I've forgotten this English. What's this English word? Sorry, English word is just in my head. Okay, let me take it again. Summarize the pivot table, right? I told you after clicking on summarize the pivot table, this prompt is going to come out. Our table or our range, it has picked it already. Now we now have the 2 places that we actually want to place it in. Do we want it in a new worksheet or do we want it in an existing worksheet? Now for us, we're going to be using a new worksheet. Even as our class goes on, we're still going to be using new worksheets. Why? So that we're going to be able to know where to go, right? We're going to be opening up a different worksheet for each pivot table we're going to be working with. And we're going to be naming them accordingly. We're going to see how it works. So now I want to place this first pivot table I want you to place it in a new worksheet for me. So now I'm just going to leave this click and I'm going to click on OK. Now you can see that it has opened what? Sheet 1 for us. Now this is the pivot table. You must have heard of it, but you don't know what it does. This is the pivot table. Very small. This is what they call small but mighty. Are you getting me? This is how the pivot table looks like. Now, if you, after clicking on new worksheet and it has opened up a pivot table for you, you should see this and one other thing on the right hand side. My own is closed. What are we talking about? My network is not stable. Nibo. Is it breaking? Is it breaking? Ah, it was okay, but it's fine now, right? Once you start again, please, or if it does again, please let me know. Please let me know. So I can, okay. All right. So as I was saying, eh, no, it's not, don't worry, it's fine. I said once it is breaking, or if it does break, please let me know. So as I was saying, after using, let me control Z, go back. Yes. So this is what we are working with. Let me delete this sheet that it opened up for me. Delete. So this is what we are trying to summarize to a pivot table, right? And I told you we are going to be summarizing it from the table design tab. So I'm going to click on summarize the pivot table. After clicking on this prompt should come out, right? It has automatically picked our table that we're working with. And then choose where you want the pivot table to be placed. I told you we are going to be using new worksheet. New worksheet. So I'm going to just click on OK. After clicking on OK, it's going to open up a new worksheet. You can see it's sheet 2, a new one for us completely. Then this prompt should come out. That this is the pivot table we're going to be working with. This is the pivot table. I seen it. Now, if you open up the pivot table, this should come out. This one on the left hand side here. This is the pivot table. And then you're going to see another one on the right hand side. This one is the field list. I seen it. These are the two things you're going to see when you actually summarize the pivot. When you bring in a pivot table, you should see the pivot table itself, right? And then you should see what? The fields. And now some people you might not see it. You might not see this field. Just the one I did earlier now. This black one didn't come out. The field list didn't come out. We can bring it in. How do we do that? Right click inside the pivot table. This is the pivot table, right? If you want to hide this pivot table, if you don't want to see it as you are working, we can hide it and then we can bring it back. So how do we do that? We right click inside the pivot table report, this report that we're working with, this field that we're working with. And then the last one, you're going to see what? Hide field list. So if I click on hide field list, you can see now it's gone already. Are you seeing it? So now let's assume you are just doing it for the first time. You are summarizing the pivot table, and then you are not seeing it on the right hand side. You can bring it in yourself. Right click inside and then tell it to what? Show field list. Then it's going to come out here. Are you seeing it? It's going to come out here. Now you should see now that as I'm clicked inside the pivot table, what I'm having here is now the tab I'm having here now is now pivot table analyze and design. It's no longer table design. You know, now in this other sheet, now what I'm having here is table design. That's the tab I'm having. But in the pivot table that I brought in, I'm now having what? Pivot table analyze and design. This is the one that actually helps with what? The pivot table that I'm using. Are you getting it? These are the two tabs that are what? Working with the pivot table that I'm actually using, right? Now, after bringing in the pivot table, we're going to leave this one on the left hand. We're going to leave it for a while. Let us talk about this black one, the field list that I'm talking about. This one on the right hand side, right? Now, this is where all our headers are going to be. All the headers from here, our data sets from here. This is where you're going to be seeing it on the field list on the right hand side on this place here. Are you seeing it? You can see now we have the order ID, we have the customer ID, we have the customer's name, we have the gender. Is it breaking again? It's still breaking. Okay, hold on. Please give me 1 minute or 2 minutes rather. Let me just check on the network. Okay, I'm back. I've adjusted the network. Okay, I should slow down. All right, sorry. Okay, let me take it again. So I told you that after summarizing with pivot table, right? This is data set I summarized with pivot table. And I told you that I wanted to help me place the pivot table in a new sheet. That is why I have this sheet 2 opened up, right? Now this is where the pivot table has been placed. As it is on this sheet 2 now, I was seeing two things. We're seeing one on the left hand side, and we're seeing one on the right hand side, right? The one on the left hand side is where we build the pivot table report. Whatever thing we're trying to, whatever analysis we're trying to see, this is where we're going to be seeing it. The one on the left hand side, right? This is the pivot table itself. And then the one on the right hand side is where all our data set is in. Are you getting where all our data set is in? So we have, look at it. If you look at it on the right hand side, then I told you that if you bring in your pivot table, if you summarize the data with a pivot table, I am not seeing this one on the right hand side. You need to bring it in, because without it, there's no way you can work with this one here. Are you getting? Because it's on the one on the right hand side is what I was working with on the left hand side. That's why I'm going to be dropping my data set. If I drop anything here now from this right hand side, you're going to see it on the left hand side. So both of them work hand in hand, right? If I bring this one on the left hand side in, this one also should come with it, right? So how do I bring it in? You right click inside the pivot table, and then the last one that says hide field list. So the right hand side one is called a field list. So if you don't want to see, probably as you are working it's disturbing you, you can hide it, right? You can hide the field list, and then if you want to bring it back, what you are going to be seeing there is now show field list. Then you can bring it back in. Are you getting it? Now I said we're going to leave this one on the left hand side. We're going to leave it for a bit. Let us talk about the one on the right hand side. That's the field list itself, where we have our data sets, where our data set is in, right? So now if you can look at it, we have the order ID, we have the customer ID, customer's name, the gender, the city, country, phone number, order date, but all the things we have in this order sheet here, all the headers that we have here, you can see them inside the field list already. So now all we have to do in this pivot table is just to drag and drop. We are not doing equals to sum. We are not doing equals to this thing. All we have to do here is what? Drag and drop. Now, where do we drag? How do we drag and drop into this place? Let's talk about the areas that we are dragging and dropping into. You can see it here. We have 4 places. We have 4 areas. We have the filters, we have the columns, we have the rows, and we have the what? And we have the values. Let's talk about the columns first. These columns is if we want to see our data set, if we want to see our data arranged in columns, that is when we drag and drop into the columns. Let me show you an example. Let me drag the gender. I'm going to drag the gender into the columns, into this column space here. So I'm just going to left click and drag into the columns. So you can see now I have female in column A and I have male in column B. I seen it. This is me dragging it into what? Into the column aspect, into the column space. It has analyzed my data into different columns. Now we have the rows. This one is where you want to see it what? Into rows. So I'm going to drag this gender back into the rows. So I can see how it is arranged. Everything is still in row. Everything is still in column 1, but I now have them in what? In 2 different rows. Female is in row 5. Female is in row 4. Male is in row 5. I see it. So now you can see now that look at this. Look at our gender. We have 500. We have 500 rows inside this gender here. But me dragging it and me using the pivot table. Now you can see now it has just summarized that. It has told me that what? I only have just 2 genders inside there, which is just what? Female and male. Now you know now if I'm using my normal range of cells, if I'm just using my normal formulas in Excel, for me to know which gender is actually inside there, I'm going to introduce, is either I'm removing the duplicates for me to know the specific number of gender that is inside there, or I am bringing in the filter button for it to show me. You know, if I click on this filter button now, it's going to tell me the 2 genders that are inside there, right? I only have male and female. Now, this is not what we use in pivot table. just drag and drop inside, and then it's going to summarize what you have in that column for you. So now me dragging it into what? Into the rows now. You can see now it has what? Told me that I only have what? 2 genders inside there, which is what? Female and male. Now that's for columns and rows. In this value, this one is now used for summarizing using aggregate functions. Are you getting me? This values is when you want to get aggregate functions. You want to get the aggregate answers like total sum, the count, the average, the max, and everything. It's in this values box that we can do that. Let's see how it works. Okay, let me see. I'm still going to drag gender inside there. I'm going to drag gender into the values. Now, you can see that now it's not showing just gender any longer. It's now showing what? Count of gender. Now, this values box is the one that what does calculations for us. Now, because we are not working with a column containing numbers, we're working with a column containing text. What it's doing for here? What it's doing here for us is what? Count. It is counting the number of rows that was used in that particular column for us, telling us that what I have 500 rows used in that data set. Are we getting what I'm saying? Are we getting what I'm saying? Okay, so you can see it now that if you want to see your data set arranged in columns, we drag into the columns box. If you want to see it arranged in rows, we drag it into the rows. And if you want to make calculations, you want to see the calculation of some stuff, we drag into the values box. Are you getting me? Now, why this filter is used for selective analysis? Let's see how it works. Let me redrag. Now, to take it back, let's assume I'm not working with gender any longer. I can redrag. I'll just drag this gender back into the box, into this field back. I'm not working with it any longer. I see it. I've redragged it back there. So now I want to work with let me work with country. I'm going to drop the country into the rows. You can see I have my countries listed here. Let's go down. Let's scroll down. You can see these are all the countries that I have inside there. Now I want to get the count of each countries. If I'm doing it in our normal data set here, what I'm going to be using is what? Count if, right? I'm going to be using count if to get the count of each of the countries. Yeah, I'm not using count if. Now, since I've dragged the country into the rows aspect, it has analyzed, it has summarized all the countries that I have inside this place. So if I click on this now, like I said, I'm now having 48. It's not 48, it's 46. If I'm to remove row labels and grand total, this is it. You know, normally in this other sheet here, if I'm clicked on this country column, it's telling me that what the count here is what 500, right? But now me using pivot table, it's telling me that what I have only what it's actually 46. If I'm to remove row labels and what else is down here? If I'm to remove row labels and grand total, I only have 46 countries inside there. Remember, how can we get this one in normal data set? I can tell you that I want to remove duplicates. If I use remove duplicates inside that other sheet, it's still going to return 46 countries for me, right? But I'm not using that remove duplicates. I'm using pivot tables. So that's what it has compressed all the countries and told me that what I only have 46 countries inside there. Now, if I now want to, I want to get the count of the countries. I want to get the count of the countries. Now, I'm going to drag the country again into the values. So I told you the values is the one that actually does what? The calculation for us. So I'm going to come back to this country here. I'm going to left click and drag it again into the values. Now you can see it now. I have the countries and I have the count of them. Argentina is 5, Australia is 8, Austria is 12, I cannot pronounce this one. It's 2, Belgium is 5, Brazil is 48. Are you getting me? So it has told me the count of all the countries that I have here. Now, if I now want to use filters, I told you that this filter area here is used for selective analysis. That's where we have something like our some ifs. If I want to count how many females come from USA, how many females come from Brazil, those kind of stuff, I'm adding another filter. I'm adding another criteria for it to help me check out, right? That's in the normal data set. But in this one here, I'm going to drag the gender into the filter box. So you can see now I have gender, I have the gender up here. So now I can come up here and tell you that for this particular data set now, for this particular pivot table that I'm working with now, I only want to see the count of females that come from each of the countries. Are you getting me? I want to see the count of the females that come from each of the countries. I can click back here, and then what did I count? Oh, I dropped country. So it's not country I'm dropping. I'm dropping gender. Oh, what am I even working with? Sorry. Come back. This is supposed to be, yes. So gender. So now you can see now I dropped the gender column into the filters box, right? Now I have the female and the male gender. From here now I can pick, okay, I want to see the count of male only for the count of countries. I'll just click on male, and I'm going to click on okay. So now you can see that the count of them now has changed, telling me that what Australia is 2, Azerbaijan is 2, Belgium is 3, Brazil is 21. You can see now that it's just telling me, it's just what used for selective analysis, whereby I just want to see a specific thing at that particular moment, not all the data sets. I can also change it for the female also. Let me say, okay, I want to choose female now. Click on okay. Now I can see it now. I have what? I'm only seeing it for what? For only females. Let's see how it works in normal data sets. Let me so that we're going to be looking at how it is what we have been working with earlier. Let me see. Control C to copy list and copy. Let's see. Control C to copy. Control V to paste. I want to do it the way we know it though. Then I'm going to go to data tab. I'm going to remove the duplicates. It has connected it to the table. No. Sorry, hold on a bit. Who is writing on my screen? Okay. So then let me move this thing. Sorry, let's come. Let me shift it. It's connecting it to a table, but I don't want it to connect it to that table. Move to this side. Okay. Let's see if it's still going to work. Data tab, yes, remove duplicates. Okay, so I wanted to remove duplicates for only this country. So now you can see that this is what pivot table returned back for us. 46 unique values. I only have 46 countries inside there, which is not what my original data set is telling me. But let's click on OK. Now we're not going to use count ifs to get the count of the female genders that come from each of these countries, right? I'm going to use equals to count ifs. What's my first criteria? I'm going to pick the country first. This is my country. And then my criteria is this USA right here. Then my second range is the gender column. I hope I'm not doing anything new. Listen, I'm seeing messages in the chat box. I hope I'm not doing anything new. How did I put only that column in a range? I just copied it and pasted it. Just Control C and paste. So I'm trying to explain how that filter is, right? You know, without dropping this gender into the filter box, what I'm going to be saying is the count of all the countries at the same time. All of them at the same time. But now if I'm here dragging it into these filters now, I can control what I want to see. Telling that I only want to see the count of the female that come from each of these countries, or the count of the male that come from each of these countries. Now those are the 4 boxes. We have the filters, we have the columns, we have the rows, and then we have the values. Are we clear up to this part? Are we clear up to this part? Those 4 areas, are we clear on them? The filters, the columns, the rows, and the values, We're okay. All right. So now let us continue then. Okay, so let us see. Let me see. All right. So now let's work with this. If I'm introducing a new column, I think I'm not going to skip this one since we already understand. So now if I'm introducing a new column to my table, if I'm introducing a new column to my table, and I want it to appear in this pivot table here, all I have to do is what? Refresh. This is what I mean. Now, presently, I only have what? I only have cost price. I don't have my selling price. I don't have my revenue. I don't have my expenses. I don't have my profits, right? If I want to work on it in this particular table here, and I want it to appear in that pivot table that I've introduced inside there, all I have to do is what? Refresh. Let us see it. I'm going to bring in the cost price. I'm going to use my XLOOKUP to bring in this cost price, XLOOKUP here. Then my lookup value is this. Then my return array is this. Enter, right? Then I'm going to bring in the selling price. I'm going to bring in the selling price. Then I'm still going to use the XLOOKUP. This is still my lookup value. Where's my lookup array? My lookup array is this, and then my return array is selling price here. And then I'm going to, okay, I actually introduced a new column, which is what? Selling price. If I go to this, my pivot table here, and I'm scrolling up and down, it won't show. That's because I've not updated this particular pivot table, right? If I'm introducing a new column to the table that we're bringing, that we actually brought that pivot table from, we have to refresh for it to what? Add that column to the field inside here. Now, to be refreshed, I'm going to click on this pivot table analyze. The reason why this pivot table analysis is out is because I am in a pivot table. That's why you are seeing it up here. So now, for this particular pivot table to see the selling price that I brought in, I will come here to pivot table analyze and tell you that what? I want to refresh my data. Are you getting me? I want to what? Refresh my data. I'm going to click on this drop down here. And I'm going to tell you to refresh all. If I refresh all and I scroll down this pivot, if I scroll down this field now, I can see now that selling price has been added to it already. I seen it. So if I'm introducing a new thing to your table, you know, this was where we brought in the pivot table from. So if you're introducing a new thing to this table here, and you want it to appear in the pivot table that you have brought in already, are you getting me? You don't need to fret if you are not seeing it. All you have to do is just what? You have to just refresh your pivot table. Tell you that what? I want to refresh all, right? Now, another thing you need to know is we can change the calculation of a pivot table. We can change what? The calculation of a pivot table. In a column containing text, the automatic one is going to do for you is count. Just note the way I dropped in country into this values box now. What it did for me here is what? Count. That's because the content of that column is what? Is text. But if I drop in a column containing numbers, what it's going to do for me is what? It's going to do summation. Let me drag these ones back up. Let me drag them back here. Let me drag them back. Drag back. Let me drag in products. I'm bringing in the products. I'm bringing in the product into the rows aspect, into the rows area. I'm going to left click and drag into the rows. You can see now I only have what? Just products 1 to 10. That's just what I have. Then I'm going to drop the quantity. Now this one, I'm trying to see the total quantity that was bought for each of the products. I'm trying to see what? The total quantity that was bought for each of the products. Now, before I go further, which formula does this remind you of? I'm trying to calculate the total profit, the total quantity that was bought for each of the products. What formula does this remind you of in Excel? Sum if. Thank you. So we don't need to do sum if again. All we have to do is just drag and drop, and then it's going to do it for us. So I'm going to drag this quantity into the values. So you can see now that it's going to what? It's going to do, what it's going to do here is what? Sum. It's going to do what? The summation. That's if a column is containing what? Numbers. So now you can see now we're having what? Sum. We have the total sum that was sold or that was bought for product 1 is what? 865, right? Now I told you that we can change the calculation. Then probably I don't want to see summation. I'll probably want to see the average. I want to see the average. I can change it inside there. Then I don't want to see sum. I want to see what? The average. How can we do that? There are two ways, right? We can do it directly from the pivot table here, or we can do it from this field right here. There are two ways to change it. Is that we're changing it from this pivot table here, or we're changing it from the field? Let us see the two ways. Let us change it from this pivot table first. I'm going to right click inside there. Are you seeing it? I'm going to right click inside the pivot table. Then I'm going to go on to summarize values by. Are you seeing it? Summarize values by. I want you to help me to summarize these values by. So now what we have here is what? Sum. Sum is checked already. I told you that. Now let us see if we can change it to let's see the average, or let's see the count first. Count. This should be 57. Yeah. So this one is doing count if. This one is doing count if. But let us change it. Let's see, summarize values by average. This one is doing average if. So you can see now we can change the calculation of our pivot table. It depends on what you're trying to analyze. They might be asking us to get the total. They might be asking us to get the total profit, or the average profit that was generated from each of the products. You know, if you drop profit into this values box here, the first thing it's going to do for us is sum, right? Now, as the analysis was, as I said, we should get the average profit. We can change it to what? We can change the calculation to what? To average. I told you that what? We can either change it from this pivot table here, or we can change it from the field. That's from this values box here. How do we do that here? I'm going to right click inside. Okay, I'm going to click on this arrow that is beside average of quantity. I'm going to click on what? The arrow that is beside what? Average quantity. I'm going to click on it. Then I'm going to see value field settings. Are you getting me? Then I'm going to see what? Value field settings. You know, the one on the pivot table is what? Summarize values by. But the one on this field list is what? Value field settings. So if I click on this value field settings now, this prompt should come out. You can see we're still seeing the summarize value by. We're still seeing it up here. So now we're trying to what? Change the calculation. So you can say choose the type of calculation that you want to use to summarize data from the selected field. So you can what? Change your calculation from this particular one. It depends on what you're trying to what you're trying to get. There are two different things here. You're either trying to get the count of customers. That one is now what? Well, we know what that one we're dealing with what? Count. We're trying to get the total quantity or the total profit that was generated. Now we know about we're dealing with what? Sum. We're trying to get the average age or the average profit or the average revenue. We know that we're changing the calculation to what? To average. Are you getting me? So it depends on what you're trying to work with. You change your what? You change your calculation. So, but I'm going to use sum. Let's use sum. Now, we can also sort. We can arrange. You know, sorting, we can arrange, right? Because now if I'm being asked that which product generated the highest quantity, or which the question might come like this, the analysis might come like this, which the product with the what? With the highest quantity. Now, this particular aspect, now me looking at it now, all I can for me to know the products that got the most quantity, I'll have to be scrolling, I'll have to be looking up and down that, oh, which one has the highest one? We can sort. Are you getting me? We can say that I want to arrange this pivot table to what? From the largest to the smallest. I want to arrange from the what? From the smallest to the largest. It depends on what we're trying to get. Now, how do we sort? Remember, I'm not sorting by the product name. I am sorting by the quantity. That's the one that actually brought in the what? The most quantity. So now I'm going to right click. I hope I'm not saying too much right click. It's just how it is. So I'm going to what? Right click inside the pivot table that I'm working with. Are you getting me? I'm going to right click inside. Then I'm going to go down to sort. I'm going to see sort. Are you getting me? From sort, I'm going to tell you that I want to sort largest to smallest. It should help me arrange it from what? From the largest number down to the what? To the smallest number. I'm going to click on what? Sort largest to smallest. Then I can see that it has arranged it from 865 down to what? 625. So now from here now I can actually get what? I can boldly answer that what? Product one is the product that has what? The most quantity with the total of what? 865. Are you guys with me? Are we together? Is it network? Why has the participants gone down? Okay. So now we can, as I was saying, we can sort. Are you getting me? We can also sort from smallest to largest. We can sort from smallest to, I can tell you that, okay, I want to sort from smallest to largest. Now I can say that what? Product 10 is the what? The product that was what? With the least quantity. With the total of what? 625. Are you getting me? Are you getting me? Now I want to work with something else. Let's work with something else. Now, if you want to work with something else, are you getting me? I hope I'm not saying to, are you getting me? Don't be annoyed. If I want to work with something else, I am not going to be working with this same pivot table. I am going to be introducing a new pivot table. This pivot table is for this analysis. If I want to work with another pivot table, I have to bring in another. If I want to do another analysis, I have to bring in another pivot table. So to bring it in, you go back to your data set. You go back to your what? You go back to your data set. And then you tell it that what? You want to summarize with what? With pivot table again. Cancel job. I want to what? Summarize with pivot table. And I told you that what? Okay, now if I go further. After bringing in a new pivot table, you name your sheet accordingly. So that we won't be going back and forth that, oh, which pivot table did I do here? Or which analysis did I do here? No. After bringing in your pivot table, name that sheet, that pivot table that you did. Are you getting me? Name it what you did. So I'm going to rename this sheet too as what can I name it? Quantity, product by quantity, or quantity by product. Quantity by product. Now this one is giving me a guideline, right? If I open up a new sheet now, and I'm not going to be, I'm not have to what, go back and forth that, oh, which particular sheet is this one here? I already know what this sheet is working for, which is what? The quantity by what? By product. Now I said if you want to work with another thing, you bring in another pivot table. This one has been used. If I do anything, I have to change this particular thing. So if I'm working with another thing, I have to what? Bring in a new pivot table. I'm going to come back to my table design, and I'm going to what? Click on what? Summarize with pivot table. And I told you new worksheet. So as not to be confused, new worksheet. Then okay. Now I have what? A new worksheet opened up, which is what? Sheet 3. So now what I want to work with now is countries. I want to work with countries. So I'm going to drop the country into the rows. I see me. I want to drop the countries into the rows, and then I'm going to drop quantity into. I'm going to drop quantity into the values. Should I work with quantity or should I work with count? Let me work with. Let's work with count. Let's work with count. Let me redrop. I'm going to redrop the country into the values. I see me. What I'm doing is I want to get the count of each of the countries. Now, what I'm going here is that I want to get the top 5 countries with the highest count. Okay, top 5. I want to get the top 5 countries, right? We can get that here also. Remember the one we can use here in our normal data set is we can use conditional formatting, right? Or we can use filter. But we can do it here also. We can say that I want to get the top 5 in this data set here. So how can we do that? I'm going to right click. I'm going to what? Right click. No, is it right? No. Click on this drop down here. I think that right click is letting my mouth. I want to get the top 5 countries, right? So now I said I'm going to what? Right click inside the row, beside the row labels. Then I'm going to what? Value filters. I'm going to what? Value filters. Then I'm going to go down to what? To top 10. The last one that we have here. I'm going to click on top 10. Then I'm just going to change it. I'm going to just reduce it to 5. Reduce to 5, right? So it says show top 5 items, right? By count of country. I'm not the top 5 is going to show me. It's not giving me by the name of the countries. It's giving me by the count. Are you getting me? It's giving me by the count. So I want to get the what? The top 5 countries by the count of them. Are you getting me? I'm going to click on okay. So now I can see it. I have the top 5 countries. I have what? I have Brazil, I have China, I have Japan, I have Saudi Arabia, and I have what? And I have USA with the count of them. From here now, I can use this one to what? This one is a pivot chart. This one is a chart on its own. That is telling me what? The top 5 countries in that data set. Now, before I go further, I'm going to just rename the name. I'm going to rename this sheet. Top 5. Sorry. I don't name this. Top 5 countries. I seen it. Top 5 countries. Okay. So now it's not only top 5 you can get. We're not working with only profit. We're working with loss also. We can also visualize loss. That's the bottom 5. The country that actually didn't bring in enough, profit or something. Now I've not calculated profit too. Let us go back and calculate profits. I'm going to name this TSP. I'm going to name this expenses. I'm going to name this expenses. I'm going to name this expenses. I'm going to name this revenue, right? And then I'm going to name this one profit. I see it. So now for the expenses, I'm going to be using let me use product equals to product. What numbers am I multiplying? I want to multiply the quantity and the cost price. I'll close my bracket on it, then enter. I have my profits, expenses rather. Then for the revenue, I'm also going to use products. What's my number 1? The quantity is my first one, and then my selling price. I have my product, I have my revenue, and then the profit is revenue minus expenses. Then enter. I see it. Let me just change this one to $ too. Since I'm working with money. I don't want accounting then. Currency. Okay. Selling price also, let me change it to currency. Cost price also, I am changing it to currency. Okay. So now I want to bring in a new pivot table. I told you every analysis you're trying to do a new pivot table each. I'm going to come back here and tell you that I want to summarize with pivot table again. Summarize pivot table. Okay. A new worksheet. Okay. I have one. Now let us see if I have my data set already. You can see now that those ones that I actually did, it has not been, this pivot table has not been affected. That's because I've not refreshed it. It has not seen that what a new data set has been added to it. I'm going to tell you the what refresh all for me to see the revenue, expenses, and profit that I actually just calculated in my table. I'm going to tell you to what refresh all. So like I can see now I already have them here. What I'm trying to get here is what can we get? Okay, let's get the profit that was generated for the 2 genders. I want to get the profit from the 2 genders. I'm going to drop the gender into the rows. I'm going to drop gender into the rows, and then I'm going to drop the profit also into the. I'm going to drop the profit into the values. Now I have the profit that was generated from the 2 genders, from the female and the male. I seen it. Now, from all these pivot tables that we're actually bringing out is where our where we bring in charts. This is where we bring in what? This is where we bring in our charts, where we start building our dashboard, right? It's from this pivot table we're going to be bringing them in from. Are we clear? It's from this pivot table that we're going to be bringing them in from. Our KPIs and then our charts. Our KPIs and then our charts, right? It's from these pivot tables that we can bring them in from. Are we confused on some parts? No. Okay. All right. So now for me, because once we start building charts now, this grand total used to give us issue. This grand total, it gives us issue. Let me show you a quick example. Let me see if it will actually be, because things to do off and on. Now I'm trying to represent this pivot table in a chart. I'm trying to represent what? This pivot table in a chart. So now I have to be clicked inside the pivot table for me to bring in that chart. Are you getting me? I'm trying to visualize this. I'm trying to visualize the top 5 countries based on the count of them in a chart, right? I am clicked inside, and then I'm still going to be inside my pivot table analyze tab, and I'm going to go on to pivot chart. You don't need to understand this part yet, but we're going to go. I just want to show you why this grand total, why it needs to be up. I'm going to click on this pivot chart here. I'm clicked on pivot charts. Oh, it's not showing. I told you this things to do off and on. So let me just choose this one. I'm just going to bring it. I want to bring in this chart here. I'm going to click on OK. So now you can see now this is a chart. It's telling me that what I have. This is the top 5 countries in that data set, right? But the reason why I actually brought this out is I actually thought that this grand total was going to come up here, but I think this is not one of the this is not one of the situations that's going to come out. But for you not to have that issue, we are going to put off the grand total, because me personally, I don't like to have it on, because there's some chart that I'm going to be using that this grand total is going to be affecting. I don't know, I'm talking too fast. There are some charts that we're going to be using that this grand total is going to be affecting it, right? So for us not to encounter those kind of problems, I'm just going to put it off. But basically it doesn't have an effect on what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to put it off. Now how am I going to put it off? I'm going to right click on the answer of that grand total. Right click on the answer of the grand total. Where is it? Okay. On the grand total itself. Yes. Right click on the grand total itself. Right click on the grand total, and then I'm going to see what? Remove grand total. I want you to help me to remove this grand total. I don't want to see it there. So remove grand total. Now I don't have it. You can see it. I can just work with this one since I'm not working with that particular thing. Are we clear? I'm not saying you have to off it, right? That's my own preference. I don't for this particular analysis I'm doing here, I don't need the grand total on. That is why I am putting it off. So now for this one, I'm just getting what? The top 5 countries based on the count, right? I have gotten what? The top 5 countries based on the count. And then for this one here, we did the sum of the quantities that was bought for each of the products. I know for this one also, we can also sort. We can sort because this thing is not arranged. Look at 93. 93 is down here. I can tell that I want to sort from the largest to the smallest. You can see it here. And then if I go on to, probably I'm trying to visualize it in a chart. I want to show it in a chart. If I come here to pivot charts, you can see now that it's now arranged from the biggest to the smallest. Do you see? This one is now more arranged. You understand? So you can sort to what? To just make your data set more easy to look at, right? For people to understand it easily. So we can sort. So let us see what next we have here. Okay, we have done changing a pivot table calculation. We have done filtering and sorting a pivot table. No, we're not creating a pivot chart yet. So grouping items, I'm coming back to that. Updating a pivot table, we have done updating a pivot table. Updating a pivot table is what? You refreshing. If you actually have a new thing added to your data set, you refresh for your pivot table to be what? To be updated. Do you understand? You update or you refresh for your pivot table to be updated. And then we have design. If you look at this design here, you can give it different colors. I don't really work with this one too. I told you it doesn't really have an effect on your dashboard. It's just for what? For beautifying what you have. That's just how it is. And then we have the row headers. We did it in tables. We have the column headers. If you want to see it here. And then the banded rows and the banded columns. Ah. So far, so good. Is there anything we are lost on? So far, so good. Is there anything we're lost on? What should I do again? Which one should I do again? How do I turn off the total? You just right click on the total itself, on the grand total itself. Let me click on this one. I want to put up this grand total. I'm just going to right click on it. And then I'm going to see remove grand totals. I'm not going to tell you what remove the grand total. That's simple as that. And then we can also show it in percentage. I'm the only one that is talking. Let us answer this one. For people that actually know what pivot table does, how do we change it to pivot table? How do we change it to percentage? Are we to left click or right click? Left click. You left click and drag. How do we no, I told you that we can change the calculations, right? Bernard, thank you so much. I told you that we can change the calculations of our pivot table, right? Changing it from sum to average to count to mass and everything. We can change it. But now, what if I want to show my visualization in percentage? Right? How do I change it? For people that know what pivot table does, how do we change it? I'm putting this question out. Allow me. I the only one I remember that said, yeah, you know pivot table. Yeah. Let us answer. The column header. No, I don't think so. That's for this count, Abby. No, we can't. People that know pivot table. Nobody's answering me in the class again. Me, Stephen. Okay, yes, Stephen, you also said it. Okay. How do we change it to percentage? I want to see my calculation in percentage. Now, I'm talking about pivot table itself, the pivot table. I should right click on one of the numbers, okay, and show values as thank you. So I'm going to use the gender. I'm going to use this gender one. I don't want sum of profit any longer. I don't want sum of profits. I want to do the count of the genders. I have 281 for the female and I have what 219. So how do I change it to percentage? So people in the class said we should right click and then want to show values as want to show what? Want to show the values as. So I want you to show me the value percentage of grand total. That means out of 100. Are you getting me? Does that mean that out of 100, how many percentage is this particular thing I'm working with? That's what this percentage is working with. So out of 100, the female is what? 56.20%. If I try to show this one in the chart now, you will see how easy it's going to look like. Let me show it in the pie chart. Hi. Yes. Can you see it? No, this is a pivot chart. This is me showing the count of what? The female and the male in the pie chart. You can see here the legend is telling me what? The female is the one in blue. You see it? And the male is the one in what? In orange. If I click on this plus here, I'm going to on my data labels. Once you get to chart, I'm going to see how all these ones work. You can see it now that it's representing it in what? In percentage. 56.20 percentage and what? 43.80 percentage. So you can see it. You can just what? We can also change it from It's not just aggregate function. You cannot just change it to sum, or we can change it to what? To percentage also. So the same way, I don't need this grand total there. I'm going to put it off. Remove the grand total. So you can see it. I have the count of the genders. So now let's talk about the grouping. We have not even opened this slide though. Look at me. Oh. We did not open slide. Let us see. This one is supposed to be the one to be guiding us. Creating pivot table, we have done this part. Filtering and sorting, we have done this part. Pivot charts, that one is for another class. Okay, we have grouping items. Yes. So they said we have grouping items. So let us look at how this one was. They said grouping items in a pivot table allows us to organize data into more manageable and meaningful categories, such as grouping dates by month or year, numbers into ranges, or text into categories. Okay, how do we bring it back? We can bring it back. Okay, let me show you. If I want to bring it back, you guys should go back up. Yes. If you come here to pivot table analyze, are you getting me? I want to bring back the pivot. I want to bring back the grand total. Or let us do it from this. Let us do it from design. From design tab, grand totals. So you can see it. We have the grand total here already. So we're going to tell it that we want to turn on for, which one are we turning on for? Rows and column. Not this, sorry. On for columns only. Is it columns or row? Okay, it's column. We can bring it back from the design tab, or we can bring it back from the pivot table analyze. This one is more complex. Let us look at it. In the pivot table analyze, you come here to options. This first box you're going to see options. If you click on options, you click back on options. Are you getting it? Then after clicking on options, you're going to see totals and filters. You can see it. Totals and filters. Then you off it. You can off it here. You can on it here. Are you seeing it? Off, on, off, on. So if I off it here and I click on OK, you won't see it here again. Are you getting it? And to bring it back in, I'll go back to these options also. And then I'll tell you that what I want to on the grand total back. Then I'll click on OK. And say that it is back. Do you understand? I'm just going, since I don't need it, I'm going to just put it off. Remove grand totals. So let us go back to our slide that we're working with. So they said grouping. So they said we can group by dates, and then we can group by what? We can group by numbers. Okay, so they said we should click on any date value in the rows and or columns areas of the pivot table, right click and select group. So let us work with this. Well, for that one, we're going to be bringing it in. Okay, let me change this one here. Count of gender. Count of gender. Yep. So let's go back to order. And then I'm bringing in a new pivot table for the grouping we're going to do now. I'm bringing in a new pivot table. So summarize the pivot table as a new worksheet. Okay, I have them. So we should bring in dates. So let us see, where is the column for dates? That's the order date. So I'm going to drop the order date into the rows. I see it. I'm dropping the order date into the rows. Now this one actually automatically has even grouped it for us. I have the years, I have the quarters, I have the months, and I have the order date itself. So now this one it has grouped them into the number of years that we have in that data set. We have 2010, we have 2011, we have 2012, up to 2023. So if I click on this plus here, I have the quarter. You know what quarter means now? How our month in the year is segmented. The first quarter is the first 3 months, second quarter is the next 3 months, and all that. So if I click on this one here, I should still see the days or the months rather. You can see it January, February, March, right? Now this one has been grouped. Are you getting me? It has been grouped by what? By the year already. How do we even check it out? If you come here to this on group here, You can see it now that it has brought out the dates for me automatically. All the data that I have there, it has brought it out for me. So that grouping is just what? It's just like pivot table itself. It's just to what? Summarize our dates. Do you understand? Because me just dragging the other date into the rows aspect now, you can see how large the date is. It's not even looking ordered. Are you getting me? So now me grouping it, I'm grouping it into segments. I'm grouping it into years. That's 2010. I want to see all the data set in 2010. I want to see all the data set in 2012. I want to see all the ones in 2023. Are you getting me? I'll tell you that what I want to group. Do you understand? And then I can also group it into months also. And I can group it into what? Into quarter. If I'm correct. Yes. So they said we can group into, okay, see, to say we can select how to group. That's into months, years, quarters, etc., etc. Are you getting me? Let us continue how it is done. So like I think if you right click inside there should be group here too. Yes. So we have group. So if you right click inside the dates, you will see the group option. So from there we can see said starting at this is the first date. This is the first date and this is the last date. Now this one is grouping by month. Let us group by years. Let's group by years. Let me check this one. Check. Okay, let's click on okay. So you can see it has summarized it into year by year for me. Are you seeing it? Let me control Z. Let me do it again. Right click inside and then you're going to see the group option, right? So now you can now pick how you want to group it by seconds, by minutes, by days. All these ones are time. But we're grouping by, we don't even work by, this one is actually by day already. So I don't want to group it by day. But I can group by month. That's what? January, February, March, right? I can group by quarter also. Quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and all that. So if you tell you that I want to group by month, let's click on okay. Let us see how it's going to be. So you can see it. I have now this January now that you're seeing here. It's not for only 2010. It's for all the years that we have there. From 2010 up to 2023. That's for this January that we're seeing here. Are you getting it? So this grouping, it helps with what? Summarizing our dates. So we use it in the aspect of the dates, or we use the aspect of number or age. I don't have a data set that is working with age yet, but we can work with age also. Whereby probably in a field of we are in a field whereby we are getting people's ages, right? We're not trying to what? Group them. That's in the group of 5, from 10 to 15, 16 to 20, 25 to 30. All those kind of grouping. That's what we actually mean. I'm just trying to what? Segment them into what? Into groups for easy analysis. Is this clear? You understand? So we group them. So you can see how the grouping now has actually helped us to summarize these dates here. Because looking at it from this other sheet here. Looking at it from this other sheet here. We don't know per month, we don't know per year, we don't know per quarter or anything. But we can actually get it in what? In the pivot table. You see, this is what non-naming sheet we do for you. See me scrolling up and down. I don't know which one I'm working with. I think it's sheet 5 now. Let me just name this date. Okay. Let me name this date. See, I'm going to name this date so I'm going to know what I'm working on. So now you can see now we have grouped our dates into what? Into months. And I told you we can also group by what? We can group by year. We can group by quarter. So let us group by quarter first. Ungroup it first. Ungroup and then group back. Group. So group by quarter this time around, quarters. So months. Because I have quarter 1, I have quarter 2, I have 3, I have 4. Do you get it? Now I can drop in the revenue for each quarter. This first one I was saying here is for all the quarters. For the first quarter, that's the January, February, March, for all the years. For 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, up to 2023. This is the total, this is some of the revenue that was generated for what? All the quarter 1. For quarter 2, for quarter 3, quarter 4, and all that. Are you getting me? And I told you that we can also do for what? For dates, for age also. Jonathan, we can do for age also, where we can group them by we can do it in groups of what? In groups of 10. That's from 10 to 20. Okay, let me just bring out the data set so we can see how that grouping works. Where is the data set? Hold on. Okay, I think it's here. It's here. Netflix. Where is this Netflix? That's the data set that has age inside of it. But let me show you how the grouping with age. Let me show you how it is. Okay, so now you can see age now. I see it. Yeah, we're seeing age. So let me just bring a pivot table from here. Let me just change this one to a table first. And I'm going to summarize the pivot table. New sheet. Okay. I'm going to drop the age. I'm working with only age. Drop age into the rows. So now you can see how scattered this thing is. I see it. You can see how scattered it is. Now we can tell you that I want to group age. This grouping actually works very well with age. I'm grouping the ages into different segments in the group of 5, in the group of 4, in the group of 10, and everything. So now I'm going to go on to right-clicking inside here. I'm going to right-click inside the age column. I'm going to click on what? On group. You can see now it's saying what? It is grouped by one number. If I tell you that I want it to group by 5, I'll click on OK. Now I can see how it has compressed it for me. It is grouping it by 5. I'm having what? 26 to 30, 31 to 35, 36 to 40, 41. You can see how it works now. So just helping us to what? To just summarize our what? Our data set, our age or our date for us. I'm sure if you have any question, let us talk. So we have I like to follow the syllabus so that we won't skip anything. So I've worked with creating a pivot table, specifying the pivot table data, changing a pivot table's calculation, filtering and sorting a pivot table, creating a pivot. Okay, we're not doing pivot chart yet. We're not doing pivot chart yet. So this is how what grouping works with the numbers also. And I've done the one for age. I've done the one for what? I've done the one for date also. And then we should know something. It's not a must for us to have data set, for us to have something in the column and the rows for it to bring out answer. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm bringing in a new pivot table. If I want to get the count of customers, the count of all the customers that we have in this order sheet here, I don't need to bring out my customer ID, or I don't need to bring out my order ID. I can just drop this customer ID into the values for it to just help me to count. I'll just tell you to what? Drop this customer ID. Now, what it's doing here is what? Summation, because the column of this customer ID is what? Is a number. So I'm going to change the calculation to count. I'm not working with sum. I want to change it to count. It should help me just count the total number of customers that we have in that data set. I have 500. That means I have 500 transactions in that data set. Remember when I showed you, I told you here, if I click on this column here, if you look down, you're going to be seeing what? Count of 500. So this particular one signifies the amount of transaction that went on. Are you getting me? The amount of what? Transaction that went on. So me dropping it into the values doesn't mean this one cannot serve as what? As a question. The question might come as, I want to get the count of what? My customers. I want to know how many customers do I actually have, right? I can use this, I can use just the values box as what I want to use as my what? As my analysis. I just what? Drag the customer ID into what? Into the value, and I'm going to what? Get the what? The count of them. Shown here. And I told you that what? We can also get the top 5. We can get the bottom 5 also. We can always get that one also. I think we did it here now. We did it here, top 5 countries. Yes, you can see it now. So you can change what you actually want to see. It's not every time we want to see the entire data set. Let me remove these filters now. clear filters from country. If I try to put this one in a chart, if I try to put this one in a chart, it's going to be very, you can see it. It's not very fine. Are you getting me? No, it's not as if you cannot represent this one also, but it depends on what? On your analysis. If they actually want to see the count of all their countries, you can show them this, right? But if you're trying to get what? The country that actually what? Generated the least for them. The least. I can always use what? My bottom 5. I can tell you that I want to get the bottom 5. I'll come here and then value filters, bottom, top 10. I'll just change the calculation here to what? To bottom, right? Then I'll just reduce this one to 5. Then I'll click on OK. This one, the reason why they're competing is because all of them have the same count. Pakistan is 1, Singapore is 1, Kuwait is 1. They are all 1, right? That's why this one is, they're all competing for what? For the bottom 5. Let us try something. Let us do something else. Let me see. Let's remove this count of country. Let me use profits. Let me use profits. And then I'm going to get the bottom 5. That's the country that what generated the least profit for us. Country that generated the least profits. Okay, now I have them. I have the UK, I have the UAE, I have the Singapore, I have the Kuwait, and I have this country that I cannot pronounce. So you can see these are the countries that what generated the least profit for us. Are we getting it? So now for us to go and practice at home, I'm going to drop a data set for us to analyze, for us to work with pivot tables with. Are you getting it? I'm going to open up that thing for us to just go through. I'm going to open it. I'm going to send it to the group. Don't worry. I'll send it to the group for us to see. Analysis to be carried out. Let me open it up. So we're going to do this as an assignment to practice what we did today. So they said, the first one, they said we should get the employee count. How do we get they're also asking us to just count the number of employees that we have. They're not asking me to get total profits by employee. They're asking me to just get what? The employee count. That's just what? Just drop the employee ID into the values to just help us to count how many employees do we actually have. We're going to get that. Then we're going to get what? The average age of all employees. Are you getting me? The average age of all the employees. We're going to get that. We're going to get the average monthly salary of all employees. Ignore this KPI that we're seeing here. Just ignore. I just want us to just do this ones. So we're going to get what? The monthly salary by department. I will share the data set and then I will share the PDF. Are you getting me? So the monthly salary by department, the monthly count by department, the employee hiring trend. These are the analysis that we're to try. I'm not asking you to build dashboard though. We're not building dashboard though. We're not building charts. Just show all these things in a pivot table. Are you getting me? Show me all these things in a pivot table. Do you understand? So let us work with this and then we submit, right? I know you can always ask questions in the group. People should not call me too much. Oh, I'm also busy during the week. Yes, different sheets. And then you name them accordingly. Do you understand? So that we'll know which particular sheet is for which one. Do you understand? So you can ask questions on the group. You understand? You guys know that parole. But don't call me too much, oh, please. I'm also very busy. I also teach physical class. But you can always ask me questions too, you understand? I should get don't call me, oh. Hamza. What do you mean assignment again? You don't want to do assignment. I should not give you the assignments, ne? You don't want to work. You don't want to practice. We need a hand now. Mid-time break. Mid-time break has sealed now. This one that I finish exam now. This one is there's no mid-time break, Joe. You have missed count of the assignments. I didn't give assignments yesterday now. Did I give assignments yesterday? I didn't give assignments now. So just for practice, hey, just for practicing. Just for practicing. So let us go back home and we are already at home. Sorry. let us practice the analysis to be carried out. You understand? You just look at it very well. And then let us analyze. You understand? Okay, so we are going to see next week. It's not me that will teach you next week. Sorry. So don't worry. I'm still going to be on the book. Did you do dashboard today? Hey, where is this question coming from? Sachi, where is this question coming from? Are we yes, we're going to submit it. Okay. For everybody, let us know now. The submission is on Thursday. Thursday. Let me now give you an extension. Thursday, 11:59 p.m. You guys said that's the time you used to submit. So 11:59 p.m. you submit. That one is fine. Sachi, we didn't do dashboard though. We only worked with pivot table. Godwin, okay, you want to ask question? Ask to unmute. Okay, Godwin, you can talk.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me, please?
Good evening. We can hear you. Good evening.
All right. It seems that we just started the data analysis class now. The main analysis.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, I have a question on
What's that?
this pivot table.
Pivot table, okay.
All right. Now, why is it that every figure that we try to analyze always start from the third row?
From the third row?
Yeah.
Third row in what aspect?
Like on the sheet.
Oh, why is always starting on the third row? That's where the pivot table was placed. We can move the pivot table. I understand what you're saying now. Okay. Something like this. This place, Abi, the way this thing just started on the third row here.
Yes.
And if I'm placing it in a new sheet, this way is going to drop it. But we can move it. In the pivot table analyze tab, you will see move pivot table. That means you can move it where you want to work with. Are you getting me? You can move it anywhere. So I want to move it, let's say here, this time around. I want to move it here. So you can see it. You can move it. But if you are clicking on a new sheet, I think I want to place it on a new sheet. That's where you're going to put it for you. You understand? So you can move it anywhere.
All right, thanks.
Yes, you're welcome. All right. Is that all?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Chantel, I'm not telling you. You see next week. Don't worry. You see the person next week. All right. So see ya. Thank you very much for today's class. Thank you for your participation. I really appreciate it. So we're going to see. We'll see. We'll continue seeing each other. All right. I'm going to drop the replay very soon. Okay. Bye. Bye. Good night. Good night.